Good morning, everyone. It's a bright Thursday morning. We're not in Dubai, where floods is pummeling them. We have a very good weather here. My name is Tajuddin Ahmed, and I'm the chairman of the Programs Committee of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, NBCC. I'm pleased to welcome you all, physical and virtual attendees, to the 2024 Sharing Experience Series 1.0. I'm particularly delighted to see our council and ESCO members, our distinguished speaker, Mr. Olufemi Awoyemi, MNI, the moderator, Mr. Tolulope Ogunjobi, and all our esteemed guests. Please rise as you observe the Nigerian and British national anthems. May you rise, please. Thank you, Communications Department, for the two national anthems. Now, before we begin, I'd like to welcome past President Prince Olawale Cole. It's nice having you, sir. You're welcome. Okay. Now, before we begin, please allow me to state some housekeeping guidelines. For our physical attendees, questions will be answered during the Q&A session. Please raise your hands and the microphone will be brought to you. For those joining us through the virtual mode, if the volume is too low, kindly check the volume on your gadget, your system, etc. This event is being recorded and will be available live on our YouTube channel, Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, NBCC. For questions, comments, and discussions, use the chat icon. For posts on social media, kindly use the hashtag 2024 SES 1.0. 2024 in numerals, SES in caps, like acronym, 1.0 in numeral too. Thank you for listening. As is always our practice, please join me as I welcome President Chairman of Council, Mr. Ray Altile, FRPA, to set the tone for today's glorious event, to give his welcome address. May we give a round of applause to President. See you. Mr. President.
pulpit is to one side. It probably should be in the center, somewhere closer here. Yes, thank you. Another day for sharing of experiences. I want to welcome our patron and past president, Dr. Olawale Cole. We are honored to have you here today. I welcome the deputy president, Prince Bimbo Lashuri. He's here as well. You're welcome. All our distinguished council members, as well as members of ESCO, we are happy to have you this morning, and we hope that it will be worth your while at the end. I have just a few words to share with you, and it's to set the tone for today's event. Our experience is superior to textbook knowledge. Indeed, when you put together a number of experiences garnered over time, you will be on your way to writing a bestseller. And it is indeed a bestseller that would have profound impact on whoever that takes time to read it. It's a privilege to take a peek into the journey, the career journey of anyone, especially one who has distinguished himself in every sense of the word. Why did we create this? We share experiences to empower and lift others. You don't have to live through it to know. One candle can light 100, 1,000, even more. You don't have to strike a match 1,000 times for this to happen. This is what happens at events like this when we have the honor to invite into the room a distinguished professional who is gracious enough to share with us the account of his lifelong journey. Some would leave here today, some of us will leave here today with new insights, renewed vigor, and strengthened resolve to draw from the lessons learned. And it will in no way help to improve their professional lives and indeed their career journey. So let us sit back and join Mr. Olufemi Awoyemi and I, our distinguished guest speaker this morning, who has come to share his experiences, with us. A lot of them, I'm sure, will resonate with some of us here and those who are participating virtually. This voyage, through decades of hard work and sticking to best practice principles, is one that is bound to make our day. Thank you and enjoy your morning.
Thank you, Mr. President. May we applaud President, Chairman of Council once more for the opening remarks. When we decided to bring Mr. Femi Awoyemi to be the guest speaker at this event, I remember that popular folklore about a child that is put on a blindfold to determine the animal he has seen. If this child was blindfolded, and if he came from the right side, from the front, he may have touched the tusk. If he had gone to the rear side, he may have touched the tail. If he was allowed to go to the middle, he would have touched a chunk of flesh. That animal is the elephant. But if you just remove the blindfold from the child and you asked him, what actually did he think about when he touched those different parts of the animal, he might necessarily be confused. And that's the life of our guest speaker today. He has his hands in so many pies that I had to take a cue from Eleanor Roosevelt, the longest-serving First Lady of the United States of America, whose husband, Franklin D. Roosevelt, was president from 1933 to 1945. And she said, "Life is what you make of it. Always has been, always will be." That is Femi Awuyemi, encapsulated in a few words before I read his profile. May we give him a round of applause again. It was a major task for us to do this because when we were beset with the quantum of documents we had to put together to put this profile, it was a task. So we were able to do that in just a few paragraphs. I'm introducing our guest speaker today, Olufemi M. Awuyemi, MNI, FCA, FCTI, FCIB, FCIOD. Mr. Olufemi Awuyemi, founder chairman of PostShare, Nigeria's foremost financial intelligence hub, is a member of the National Institute and a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, Institute of Credit Administration, ICA, Association of Investment Advisors and Portfolio Managers, AIPM, and the Chartered Institute of Directors, CIOD. Mr. Awuyemi has had a distinguished career of involvement in many initiatives, associations, academia, and developmental activities, including services to the Securities and Exchange Commission, Capital Market Committee, CMC, on FinTech Roadmap for Nigeria. He's also Chartered Institute of Directors, CIOA representative on the National Action Committee, NAC, for the implementation of AFCFTA. He's a governing council member of the FinTech Association of Nigeria, the chairman of CIOA Financial Services and Capital Markets Committee since 2019. Mr. Awuyemi had previously been a 3-term member of the esteemed Strategy, Research, and Advocacy Committee of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, member of the Technical Subcommittee of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, NESG, member of various committees of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, NBCC, so it's a homecoming for him, and technical advisor to the National Assembly, House Committee on Capital Markets. He's currently a governing council member and vice president of Association of Investment Advisors and Portfolio Managers, trustee of the African FinTech Network, AFN, governing council member of the Association of Corporate and Individual Investment Advisors, CIA, executive council member of Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, member of the Chartered Transition Committee of the Chartered Institute of Directors, CIOD, and the board non-executive director of 2 reputable firms. Out of many, some of Mr. Awuyemi's other affiliations and appointments include member, Special Task Force on ICANN Entrepreneurship Center, 2021 to 2022, chairman, Advocacy Committee, NBCC, 2019 to 2020, vice chairman, Publicity and Communications Committee, NBCC, 2019 to 2022, member of the Executive Committee, ESCO, NBCC, 2019 to 2022. LBS Executive MBA Mentor since 2019, Convention for Business Integrity, CBI, Governance Project Partner, 2019 to 2023, Social Secretary, Alumni Association of the National Institute, AANI, Lagos Chapter, since 2021. Very, very few Nigerians have the suffix MNI after their names, and our guest speaker is one of them, the favored few in the country. Finally, he's a council member, PL Awards, since 2018. Mr. Awuyemi has published hundreds of reviews, opinions, articles, research work through his leadership of PostShare, which has earned both local and international recognition. His interests include economic and market intelligence, governance and ethics, strategy development, future trends, fintech, and financial markets. The PostShare behemoth, I call it a behemoth because it's indeed a behemoth that is leading, which Mr. Awuyemi founded, includes subsidiaries such as ProShare Foundation, Web TV, and Debtors Africa. It also has 2 affiliates, View Limited, an audit, assurance, and advisory firm, and Countdown, a firm tracking accountability in public pronouncements. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the singular honor of inviting to the podium one of Nigeria's best, a man of insight, a very tall man that if he hadn't chosen fintech and all of that, he might have been a basketball player. Mr. Femi Oyemi, MNI. Yes. My job is almost been done. I'll just introduce the moderator in only 3 paragraphs. Tolu, don't be offended. I'll introduce you in only 3 paragraphs because of time. Tolu Ogunjobi is a seasoned business journalist with over 15 years of experience in broadcast journalism. Tolu Ogunjobi has been trained home and abroad on business and financial journalism, including stocks, oil and gas, energy, and insurance, just to mention a few. Tolu Ogunjobi has also interviewed key players in the world of business, including the president of AFDB, Dr. Akiwumi Adesina, the group CEO of NMPC, bank CEOs, top government functionaries, including governors and ministers, Africa's richest man, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, Tony Elumelu, Owen Omogiafo of Transco, just to mention a few. Tolu has participated in international conferences, including the World Bank, IMF, AITF, United Nations, and World Economic Summit in Davos. The award-winning business journalist presently heads the business and financial desk at TVC Communications, a position Tolu has held for years after becoming an editor at the young age of 33. Don't mind him, he's still very, very young. He's my rule by all means necessary. Tolu, come and earn your pay as a moderator today. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. I think I'll just keep this here. Hello. Morning, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And good morning, Mr. Femi. Good morning. Your mentee is right in front of you. So it's not that easy, but I'll try my best to do this. Well, let's get to business and get talking immediately. A lot of talks here. And first, I'd like us to start with what motivated you in starting this business. Yes, let me put it that way. Establishing ProShare. Could you tell us, highlight your success story so far? Thank you.
I will try to be very short with my reply because the nature of my work requires that a bit of discretion. But since it's in-house here, what motivated me? I'm sure people always find a way to describe what motivates them. But sometimes it's a lie. Sometimes you may just need to just follow the path that God has created for you. The honest truth is that the sequence of events around my life meant that it was always going to be a natural trajectory for me to stay along the lines of what information and quality of information that is used in decision making. And there was a first iteration. I used to write a column when I was in the banking. I was head of strategy and reputation management, which meant a number of words collided. Strategy, analyst work, dealing with financial journalists and business editors, and most importantly with communications person. It was clear to me the difference between a media person and a communications person. And as such, the information I needed to work with then included doing environmental scanning. The quality of information was rather very abysmal and very poor. And it took me quite a number of activities to do so. And I felt there was a need to. I was lucky enough to run into Ayarolo then, who was the pioneer MD of Financial Standards. So I was writing a column there for about 5 years. And that I did only to improve my writing skills. And not because I needed to write anyway, but I needed to just improve my writing. So Ayo called us together. We came together and we set up a company called MoneyWise. So MoneyWise was into print and it was ahead of its time. But I was already seeing around that same time there was a transition towards digitization. And it made a lot more sense to run a company that way. But everybody said it wasn't going to work. And for me, the motivation that they said it wasn't going to work was actually what I really wanted to. I wasn't planning to run the company. I was going to run it as a CSR, just prove a point and then move on. But then it kept on. And I found out it was an easier way to make money as well. So I kept doing it. That's the honest truth.
Many would say the environment was a bit more, should I say, conducive, for businesses to thrive at that time compared to this time. What would you say to maybe young ones that might want to do this at this time?
There's never any environment that's conducive. Uncertainty is a natural process of life.
Wow.
You just have to decide you want to do it. Those who actually make a difference are those who do things outside what is conducive. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because if you're comfortable around everything, everybody is doing the same thing. So you ask yourself a question, what is ProShare? Some of my staff, some of the distinguished members that are seated over there, and everybody who knows Otto would ask him that every day. Me and Otto were always at loggerheads. We never agree. But then the resilience which has been built into the organization means that it is okay to always disagree. And so you ask yourself, is it a media organization? Is it an analyst firm? Is it an intelligence gathering operation? Is it what? It can be everything to every one of you. Because it is all those things and one. It's a very complex thing. We say something in ProShare, you can write complex strategic plans, but your execution must be the simplest. You must execute so simply that it's easy for somebody else to try to copy you, but by the time they finish copying you, you've moved on to something else. And so that requires a bit of using some of those attributes God has given us. It's called intellect. It's not such a difficult thing to use. But you must embrace it and understand that your best result, there's Taiwo there. If she produces something this week and we get back to next week and say she's produced it, I'm wondering, we got to do something else. So it's not change or adaptability or being agile. It's not what you do. It is who you are. And if you're not able to become that person, then it's difficult to stay in a fast-paced information world. For example, you know that the information cycle is a 24/7. Yes. So how then do you achieve work-life balance if you're operating in an industry that's a 24/7 operation? So for us, we took a decision in order to achieve that by saying that we are not trying to be the first with the news. The news is not the important thing. If it's news, it has happened before it became news. Yes. Our job is to understand what is happening. And then the impact of what is announced. Then what is news, right? We've already taken that decision. We are communicating to you. Certain people have access to that information before every one of you. And so people use it for different things. So at our place, it's a little bit different. So if you say, that thing tells you say from highlights to insights. That's exactly what it is. So pick any example of what is news for you, and let's see what we would do differently. So there's this mad rush to be the first. Everybody's Twitter.
We are first for breaking news. I get that. Really. But I also like to ask you, how do you approach market intelligence services to identify emerging trends and, of course, opportunities in the industry?
I've just described it to you. So ProShare has a media operation. It has an analyst operation.
Yes.
And it has an analyst strategic unit. We are structured like a professional services firm. That's the difference. We don't operate with using the media model. We are structured as a professional services firm with unit heads, just as you would have with a PwC. That's how the structure really runs. Now, the challenge has always been how, in order for you to operate efficiently, you create Chinese walls. The biggest challenge is that we need to build bridges in those Chinese walls. But in Nigeria, for you to work, most people prefer, even in my organization, to open doors or dig tunnels. It's faster. The bridge is longer. But here's the thing. Those organizations who will succeed are those who stay the course of making sure that get your people to cross the bridge. Because that's where all the pitfalls and all the dangers are. So the way we approach market intelligence is that we're still learning. One of the biggest challenges in market intelligence is what you know of Mr. A, how does it not get to Mr. B? How do you not pass information of A and B to C? How do you not breach trust? But one thing we have learned how to do very well is that if you are a client, say you're advertising with us, yes, and there is a particular report we consider to be of matters of governance or public interest, we are very clear as to what to do. The contract tells you very well. Funds can be refunded to you, yes, so that we can go ahead and write. And so that addresses the question someone will ask me. How do you balance your ability to make money and also build an organization? That's not a problem. It's not a problem because if you approach it from a slow growth mentality, that means it's about incremental success, and you are not seeking to be a billionaire overnight, the chances are that you would build enough cliche or connection within the system that you will be referred to or referenced. I'm sure you won't see Prussia talk about his clientele. There are people we work with that we would never disclose we work with them because that's the nature of their service. Okay. But you know, in a society, everybody measures your success in terms of how much noise you make. What they haven't understood is that money operates in whispers. It is safer for you to be rich and anonymous rather than be poor and loud. You have many loud people. True. And the way you know is that it's only when the water goes up, like they say, and you find out how many of us are swimming in nakedness. What we try to do is to try to build something that genuinely can offer impact. The focus is always that what it is we're doing. There are so many examples I can give where it is clear to us that we can make money here. But we may not have the right temperament to make that kind of money. And such, we sometimes lose. I'm sure if somebody takes over from me, they'll probably make more money than I do. But for me, the most important thing is there are three major words. When we started Proshare, there were three major things we wanted to do. To be reliable, to be credible, and to be timely. Now, what does those three things mean? It offers us a competitive edge in the industry, because if we build ourselves on those, we can work with and through people. Yes. And so our concept immediately meant that we were not competing with it. This day, we are not competing with that. We are not. We are a critical bridge within the system. So we will promote what they do, we would exchange materials, and we work very well with them. In fact, when we have projects, we also engage people from outside, people you consider competitors, to work with us on projects. Yeah, that's it. It's about knowledge. Who has the knowledge? Who has the information?
Let me come in and say, in the early days of establishing ProShare, what were some of the challenges you faced? We like to talk about challenges here, but challenges and how were you able to wade through them?
Okay, so if you go back to what I said to you, that you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yep. So my mindset towards your interpretation of challenges is one of two things. One, there must have been a failure of insightful planning. Because our job is to anticipate those challenges. It shouldn't happen to us. It is what we predict. In actual fact, yesterday at the CIOD, when they asked how do you thrive, moving from survivor to thriving, all I did was to go and show them a 2010 presentation we had done. Everything we predicted would likely happen in 10, 15 years' time are actually, of the 24, 18 of them are on point. Now, one of them said that if it happens to you, it is because you failed the leadership test. I'm sure most of you would understand that whether we like it or not, inevitably we're going to increase electricity prices, yes or no? But we spend more time talking about the increase rather than talking about the impact on you. Yes. For example, it will destabilize your household costs for your household. For your business, your costs will go up. But those are not the real challenges. The challenge is what to do Knowing is enough, but what do you do? So for us, the challenges for us where we started was only two things. One, it was people and the service culture that we needed to put in place. How do we get the right people for the right price? Don't forget, we didn't have money. For the right price to do a higher service than what their level is. And so we kept on being very creative in how we did it, including making sure that we did partnership with firms like Philips Consulting. If you wanted to, let me give you one example. So the driver, my driver then, I asked him that, what does he watch? And he's always watching this Yoruba and this. The problem with that for me was that if this man was not exposed to a higher quality, it affects everything around me. His job is not a driver. His job is to manage logistics for me. So that interpretation of his job meant that I'm going to have to provide him with DSTV in his house. It's not a matter of class for him. It is a matter of him being aware so he can understand things around me. So I needed to change his horizon so that he can perform better. For example, I'm coming here. Ima is going to work out the time it will take to move from that place to here, my next assignment and whatever. So I don't need a fee. He understands when he needed to fill the vehicle. He understands which car we will need to move out with and for what reason. He understands how he would dress. I don't have to coach him anymore because I then expose him to other things. But if your driver is treated as a driver, just a driver, and he stays at that level, you don't know how much it will affect you. So the whole concept of culture is so clear. For example, we have a principle in ProShare that if we have an event, nobody is talking to each other. Nobody talks to anybody. You see people talking to each other, passing notes, right? That's against our culture. And because they have to learn how to figure it out, do a dry run what you call a, what do you call it? A dramaturgy. I knew, but I just wanted to test. A dramaturgy. What that dramaturgy means is that it's almost like writing a movie script. Everything that will happen from morning till afternoon has been conceived, and everybody knows their role. So nobody talks. When they come back, they just ask, what did we do right, what did we do wrong, and we move on. So what is more important, the greatest challenge for us, is the culture of excellence. It still remains a challenge. And for everyone who is trying to run an organization, you see, the tendency is that, even for my seniors here, is that we focus too much on ourselves. I am the leader, I. The mistake is that the lowest factor in the organization will destroy you. So if you look in my organization, who is the first person you meet when you come into this organization? When you came into who was the first person?
Security.
That security guy, right?
Yeah.
Now, your impression about this organization must be formed by that security guy. Now, if you want to know this strategy of this organization, you don't need to go and steal any information anywhere. You know what you should do? Wait in that reception. Try it everywhere you go to. Wait in their reception for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You can tell their HR strategy, their people strategy, and every single thing. Pay attention also. The bosses always have preferential parking, right? But the customers who come to serve struggle with parking. How does that work? Is a business built for the people or built to... So you can always tell these things. So when you ask for intelligence, it's not like you go and snoop in somebody's house. Just sit in their reception, enter the gate. Try it in everybody. You will be more than 80% accurate. And so for us, therefore, the challenge is always getting that service culture running. And so we have dedicated people taking a look at that. I'm going to say a lot more. So one of the greatest things that helped us was, just before COVID, we were struggling a bit. But part of our continuous thinking ahead meant that we had something called a business contingency plan all the time. So we're always reviewing it. So we said, if we are truly going to adopt machine learning and AI, we must allow these younger guys who were coming in who wanted to work at home. I didn't buy that anyway. But again, this is how it works. To work at home. So we developed a plan to make them work from home. When COVID hit, the plan was already in place. We just doubled up on it. We didn't have to do too many strategy sessions. We just executed. That was our best year. You see, the problem was what lifted us. Because we were prepared for something beneficial to the system. Because if we're really going to run an AI company, we had to change. I couldn't change. Sometimes I couldn't change. I'm learning even how to change better. You know how it is, you've gotten so good at something, you become a little bit inflexible. And then realize that I have to empower younger people. That also became a challenge. Because you are like, oh, these young guys could be crazy, you know. But you have to find a way to do so. And then the more they win, the more they help me as well to become a better leader at it. So that's the way it works.
Are we going to say this is part of what you use as your methodology to that you employ in providing strategic advisory for clients? Or tell us about that. What methodology do you apply?
Okay, so some of you would have participated in strategic retreat sessions, right? And they tell you about visioning, those things. Consultancy comes up with fads every now and then. So you come with one school of thought, one school of this, one school of that. But if you pay attention to look at gentlemen who run businesses in Nigeria, you can learn a lot. For me, it was to pick those guys who run businesses in Nigeria. I had to take a look at what GT did. But I learned from the very best myself, Felicia Phillips of Phillips Consulting. Because I joined them, and I had been a director in UAC, but Felicia's business model blew me out entirely. We had people like Tunde Oduwole, Francis Osuya, and the late Soji. The first thing Felicia did when I got it was to give me a book about 900 pages worth of it called Liberation Management by Tom Peters. And they said, Femi, I think it was on a Monday morning, he said, by Wednesday you are making a presentation to the full team on it. I'm like, is this man correct? 900 pages, how do I distill it? But then they did not give me time off. I was still having to do my work. So I learned how to present it. And then I probably messed it up. And so Francis took me under his wings, and he showed me what I needed to do, how to read and take points from the book, how to do my research and conclude, and I would have understood the messaging in the book. And from then on, we embraced the knowledge. And the more you learn from these men, you will see how it works. What was it that Fola did? Fola changed the service culture in banking in this country. So when I see what Herbert and Ike are doing, I also learned directly in working with them that if they had more than 24 hours in a day, those gentlemen would keep on working. And so the men who were going to rise in those organizations were men who were, you have to have grit. Let me put it that way. It's not for the meek-hearted, right? So meetings could be called at 10, decisions will be taken at about 2 a.m., and by morning, the execution is almost in play. So there was no way anybody who was working at normal time can compete. So we brought that in our timeliness. So if something happened today, Prosper, whatever, knows fully well that you will not do a video recording that will not get it in about 2 hours' time. Is it the most ideal? Hell no, it's not. But is that what it will require? That is what it requires. And so you don't spend too much time on majoring on what is popular. You focus on what is purposeful. Most of these times people look for affirmation. Like you finish this event right now, they will congratulate you and do all that. Well, we're moving on to the next thing. That one is done and dusted. Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, now, can you share a success story of where your digital media services significantly enhanced a client's visibility, of course, and engagement?
I'm not sure I can.
Please try.
No, I'm being honest with you. She learned something very much. Are we here to share experience or to humor ourselves? If we really want to share experience, I've just given you a principle. Learn how to keep your mouth shut. It's a very important principle in business. That's all I'll say. That's the message. At your height, the things you say will bury you. At the peak of your height, learning to keep your mouth quiet is a very, very underrated attribute in terms of excellence. People must be able to trust that my clientele activity is not. For example, what you ask for may relate to a client having to make an income, right? It should not be discussed. Next question.
Well, very good. Well, let me say, what measures have you taken, has ProShare taken now to ensure ethical practices and good governance even within the organization?
Very good question. Now he's asking the more important question. You know, when I said to you that we wanted to be credible, be careful for what you wish for, because anybody who builds a business around credibility, you're going to likely, it's easier for you to fail. Mm-hmm. It is easier for you to fail. And so what was important was to ring fence. By doing that is that protect the organization from me. Let me explain to you this way. The biggest danger to a company is the founder. He is exposed to both personal and corporate risk, and he brings that baggage on after a particular time. Every day organization exists, I am the biggest problem to that company. And so I must look for ways to ring fence me away. So that's why we have a gentleman called Dara, who is the general counsel. And that's why we have a lawyer in charge of our corporate services as well. And so for us, part of it is to create a governance structure. So we have a board. You have people like Ayo Teriba on the board in charge of risk and governance. You have Funke Medu in charge of governance. Who else again now? Dipo Daudu in charge of finance. These are men who do not broach conversation. It's almost like this a mini board they are running, right? So we have a board charter. We have a policy document. We have, we do compliance audit. We have a retinue team of professionals who do tax consultancy for us, who do whatever. Most importantly, even though we are not a quoted company, we actually operate with the rules of the market. We conduct AGMs.
Yes.
We do our board meetings. We do governance committee meetings. And I can tell you honestly, as at March ending, we have our accounts fully prepared. And if you go back and check, for 17 years, we've never failed to submit accounts at the CAC, even though we're a private company. We have never failed to submit annual returns. Why are we doing that? Because we understand that in 20 years' time, I may not be alive, but those who will make that decision, they will not have to spend time to do that. And then again, it's become habit now. So it's not like a task anymore. It's become a compliance checklist for us. So in terms of that, we take it very seriously to protect ourselves. Not because, like most people say, oh, I'm ethical. Everybody will face a challenge at one point in time. No matter who you are, no matter how strong you are. We just pray that we have enough resources to overcome that challenge. We are faced with ethical dilemma every day. Every day. We can be a case study for anybody. We're trying our best. We may not be there yet, but we're trying our best. But like I said, the most important experience for anybody around that subject is that pay attention to the founder. He is the risk to the organization. The biggest risk to the organization is the founder. I am the risk to my organization.
Now, for entrepreneurs here now, generally, what are some common misconceptions, of course, that about entrepreneurship and that you would like to debunk?
Okay, I like that question very much. The first one, and I like that question very much. The first one is that people say real entrepreneurs do not quit. That's a lie. Well, there are many times I wanted to quit. You know, it's easy when something, they say it's because tree near tree, now monkey they take jump, right? Yeah, there's so many times. Sometimes it's also strategy for you to quit and then evolve into something else. The second one is that if you become an entrepreneur, you become rich. That's a myth or something. People don't understand. It takes a different kind of spirit to be an entrepreneur in Nigeria. See, there are two types of people. There are entrepreneurs, and there are people who are running business because they need to survive. A man who's selling A, B, C, and D and has 3, 4, 5 shops, not an entrepreneur. He's just selling because he needs to pay school fees and needs to feed you. Don't confuse the two. An entrepreneur is a man who is going to have to embrace risk because he's going to be thinking about tomorrow, today. He's not thinking about surviving, no. He's making decisions that if he's not careful, he may lose the organization next year. Well, I can't say this, but if you were a BDC now, I mean, how far can you go with a BDC? So that's not an entrepreneur. You can pick some of your businesses and I'll tell you who is an entrepreneur or not. But you know who the real entrepreneurs are? Those guys who will take the decision to say, who wakes up with the money and says, I want to build a refinery? No, wait. Who wakes up and says, I'm going to run a generating company? You don't get what I mean? Who wakes up and says, I'm going to set up main one cable? Oh, those are entrepreneurs. Those are people who every day, they'll probably be talking to their children and they are saying, how much is the rate? They are, there's no switching off. You are not switching off. Do you, for example, just imagine, let's be honest for once. Do you, for example, just imagine that if you were any of us in this room were to trade, would want to trade places with any of those men? You don't know what it is to be those men. I've been privileged to sit across the table or to interact with some of them. I'm not sure I want to be any of them. It is hard work. It is constant hard work. Do you know how many who have houses and who have never slept in it? True. I'm not sure it's for everybody. So when you say you are an entrepreneur, no, don't call yourself that until a while. You're a good business person, you are surviving, good. Stay in your lane. Let the entrepreneurs do their talking.
Really, I agree. Alhaji Aliko Dangote was asked the opening of the refinery, and he said, I won't do this again. That was the first statement he made when I asked him the question. He said, I love this, but I won't do this again. So I can imagine what he went through.
Have you not paid attention to him that he has lost weight?
Yes.
Take a look at the picture very well.
He said, I'm not going to do this again. Well, let's now talk about the role of mentorship and networking in your professional journey. I remember more than 10 years ago when I got into journalism and you told me to stay with business. I didn't want to do business journalism, but you advised me to. And today I'm not regretting it. So what role has mentorship and networking helped you, along in
so you didn't complete your story. See, when I told you, maybe people don't understand it. If you take a look at ProShare, there are very few people in the financial journalism space that has no relationship with ProShare. Either worked with me or I take a personal interest in what they're doing. For example, during COVID, I remember the discussion we had. You have sustained it till today. You've never dropped. Exactly that thing. And that means that, did you know what COVID did for journalism? You don't have to physically be in anybody's studio anymore. But has any of them moved in terms of the equipment and the digitization of it? No. Even us, we struggle with time stamping and all those issues related within the whole body of digital TV. But it's going to happen sooner or later that you won't. The concept is that people are not looking at what you're saying, they're thinking about I report. So to your question about what networking and mentorship does, it does everything. I am here today because of the benefit of mentors. Everything and networking. Look, all my former bosses still call me and say, Femi, I'm having this event. I said, don't worry, we are providing free coverage, sir. You know what that means? Oh, I still have access to him and his what? Network. My former bosses put me on certain boards. They said, look, I'm getting too old. Femi, go and sit on that board. Shego, I know, does it. Bismarck Ruwani, I talk to him all the time. I remember when I was in Fanti Trust, he would come, he would give economic whatever. Then I told him, I said, Vijay, when are we going to replace you? Because there are just 4 of you, doing salami yourself, Vijay, whatever. When are we going to have younger economists coming up? He said, that's your job to go and do. So every time I find good economists, I'm like, helping to see. Because a generation has passed, the economic model has changed, but we are still having people in my age or whatever still telling people how the economy runs. It doesn't make sense. So the whole idea is, especially why I joined organization, I'm even sitting for an exam on Sunday for another association. Why? Because I recognize that that particular association is too critical for our future, that I have to be a member. And they gave me 2 parts. I can go through the just the honorary route. I prefer to go through the associate route, because the honorary route is not, you can't get license. And I said that sooner or later we will need to apply for a license. So as I'm doing the exam, I'm calling another staff of mine to do exam. So one of my staff is doing exam, we are sitting for the same exam. And the guy is quite very brilliant and young, obviously, so he's not going to pass them. Thank God they don't give grades. Obviously the guy will beat me there, but he will pass better than me. But what he doesn't know is that he's likely going to be the head of that function. But I want to know what he knows so that I can understand him. And so joining all this professional body and offering to serve provides you 2 most important qualities. You see, volunteer roles in other societies are well regarded. It's also a very strategic move for you to get experience where you do not. When ProShare started, I was doing volunteer role for companies who, rather than pay me, I would say, let me do it for you for free. And then once we do it for them for free, they say, come and present at our event. Once I present at the event, somebody sees it, they think it's good. Can you do this for us? Yeah, we do it for you for an invoice. You see that whole process of that volunteer work? That for us is the marketing tool. It is marketing. So if I leave all those places you mentioned, I have a person in ProShare whom I'm nominating to serve in that role. Why? If you understand what you said before, and you see all these things come together, market intelligence, we have to be the bridge between the public and the market. And who better than all these associations and whatever? So at a stage, I got tired. In fact, my president is here when I said I'm stepping down from certain offices because I was exhausted. And you know, the thing about knowledge workers, when they're exhausted, their temper is the first thing that shows that sign. And in order not to destroy the goodwill we are seeking to build, you exit yourself until when you are refreshed, and then you can come back again. But some people will consider it maybe arrogance. No, it's not. It's just there's a lot for you to do. Now, for an average Nigerian, do you need to do as much if you're overseas? Maybe not. But it's about risk reward. You need to do as much here. Your networking cuts short the number of years you have to suffer. It is not about what you know. It's not about who you know that will then elevate you. So that network is important. So if somebody is doing a bad day, for about 2-3 years, we used to congratulate people on bad days until then I realized that I can get into trouble. A simple thing like greeting somebody a bad day is that pay attention. The day you did not greet somebody for his own birthday, he takes offense in it. Yes. So we then had to shut down that. So like I said, you learn what works, what does not work, what goes on, what does not go on. Or it's like with the federal government, and they say everybody seeks appointments. I don't want to shoot myself in the foot, but I've worked with a few people in government, and I will say something. The way the federal government of Nigeria or the public service structure, the level of knowledge available to anyone is unbelievable. I mean, we sometimes focus on all the bad. Yes, they're bad, they're okay. But the experience I've gained in there is unbelievable. The number of people you find who work in there, for example, take the NERC. Do you know that the quality of commissioners they have there, they are top-notch? These guys can tell you anything from quantum physics to anything. But they all complain about the system. Our job is to say, how do we walk through that system and resolve it? See, the complaint is a business opportunity. Your tragedy is somebody's market opening. Take a look at Nigeria. You mentioned so many problems. If you just slip your mindset, there are so many customers to serve. There are so many people who need solutions. What is it that one can offer? And I can tell you it's not easy. But again, with your network, it helps. With your volunteer service, it helps. I remember when I was working in NBCC, every time we needed to do committee meetings, you have people from different disciplines and professions coming to those meetings. Their perspectives to the same issue, it's always quite enriching. You don't have everything. And so I took those committee meetings seriously. And then you hear from this person there. So every time I'm chairman of a committee meeting, I learn to shut up so that I can learn from the other. They say, Chairman, what do you think? I say, no, go ahead. Oh, you present for us. You present for us. Because my focus is to learn. But most people come in and say, I'm the smartest guy in the room. Not in Nigeria. There's so many smart people in everywhere. This system is filled with incredibly smart people, from the junior level to the senior level. And as such, for us, therefore, being a member of the chamber, for example, it's a very critical thing for you as part of your own development. And I pray one day they would also have something called the young chambers. You know, it works. It works for me. The network is okay. I don't know how many associations you've joined.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm doing my best to do that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Almost finally now, let's look at impact. Let's talk about impact now. ProShare on, of course, financial literacy and investment culture in Nigeria. How do you think your work has impacted the economy in that way?
So there are two models to financial literacy in Nigeria. There's those who pursue it through the grants model, whereby they say they're like a FINA does a great job. Yeah, there are organizations who focus on that.
Yes.
Like I said, our own focus was basically one. We have raised the bar. The biggest challenge I've always thought I could change personally is that, do you know that the Nigerian financial journalism is the only industry that does not have a sustainable business model? Think about it. Where's their sales from? Where's their conversion from? Where's the revenue model from? Take it back from the days of Babatunde Joseph, from Daily Times, Yemi Ogunbiyi taking over, moving into classified ads. Take a look at any other media house and say, what's the business model? It has none. So our target is to say we're going to be able to run. And for about 10 years or more, we were not profitable. But we were cash flow positive. Because the new model in thinking about investment is to be cash flow positive, not necessarily profitability. And so that's the model for us. So in terms of impact is that we are able to run a sustainable model for about 70 years. Secondly, people say, some people approach us with a lot of money for us to start a ProShare Awards. And I said to them that we will not do that. We will rather support the existing award going on right now, like something like Pearl Awards, which has been over 25 years. And the reason why we did not do that is because of our fundamental belief. Pay attention when they give you an award. Ask yourself, has that institution been in existence for more than 2 decades? Because why would you be a 5-year organization be giving you awards and you then display it as if it's a badge of honor? It hasn't built enough credibility itself enough to confer any award on you. It doesn't make sense. So we would not do that until maybe we're 20 years. It's a deliberate choice for us. So if NBCC gives me an award now, I'll value it. If you come, you and Tajudeen set up something and say you give me an award, it makes no sense. Yeah, because what is that company giving me an award for? And so for the indicators for us is that what we try to do is to, hopefully, we are working to see how we can create a sustainable business model that say others can emulate. I look at, like my friend, Ugo Dore. You know, I keep on telling him exactly if I notice things that are not okay, they do certain things very well, I say that's a brilliant one. At the same time, we compete. But you see, that's the beauty of it all, because there's a lot we can learn. We're in two different niche areas. They write in very simple terms. We write for those who can actually understand and appreciate the value of their education. It's a very clear distinctive. I'm sorry, I just have to be myself.
Finally, looking forward.
You said finally.
No, I said almost finally. Right, I said almost finally. All right, then, looking forward to the future, what are your aspirations for ProShare, and how do you plan to achieve them? A lot has been achieved already, but moving forward.
I don't operate in those terms, so I'm just happy to get over the next day tomorrow. I'm looking forward to being able to... Look, my aspirations are very simple. My aspirations personally, I'll tell you what keeps me going. So I'll be able to see at my last daughter's wedding, I'll be alive. Very simple. Everything that will keep me alive to the end is what I will do now. But that's the goal. Look, who remembers you for running big businesses? What you're remembered for is your relationship with your kid, your wife, your mother. For me, the only thing I wake up to do is to say, I'm going to be at Ola's wedding. And that's all. Every other thing that happens in between. I get to the office, we do serious management discussion. I tell my guys, you must have personal goals. And those personal goals are not that I want to do. Just have personal goals. Like, say, when I was 20 years, 30 years ago, I prayed I was going to build a house for my mother. She trained me. She did everything. She sacrificed for me. Those are the ways I set goals. I set goals around me. Like, I'm going to make sure that I put on some weight because I'm looking too skinny. I mean, simple things like that. You understand? I'll make sure that I'm going to change my socks in the next 6 months. That means I'll earn enough money. You know, see, we get frustrated with life because we overburden ourselves with unnecessary expectations. I look at my female staff. You see their hairstyle? That's financially appropriate. No, you're laughing. But you guys have burden because you have to spend too much to keep your day-to-day existence going. I mean, it's as simple as that. So my life ambition is that I hope Allah hears this and God hears it as well. Keep me alive for me to see your wedding. And saying that also means that allow me to like the man. And that may be a challenge.
Please a round of applause for Mr. Olufemi Awoyemi, MNI, FCA, FCTI, FCI, BFIOD, founder, chairman, ProShare Group.
Thank you very much.
May we give another round of applause to our guest, special guest, and the moderator. We'll call you back in a few minutes when we need to do some few events. I mean, I've been getting some feedback from participants. Oh, wow, this man, I never knew was this. I met Mr. Awoyemi in November 2008 when I joined a certain bank as head of strategy. 2008 is almost 16 years from now, and it's always been like this. Turbocharged, full of insights, very, very, very effective in delivery, and we're not surprised that this has come to the fore. May we give him another round of applause for that fireside chat. For those of us who know him enough, that wasn't a surprise at all. Could we go to our sponsors? And we're going to start with ProShare Limited to play their commercial video for 2 minutes. Thank you. connected. The second sponsor's video is Prime Atlantic, where we have their video too.
My name is Dr. Adelano Olamilekon. I am the Managing Director, CEO, Zenicarex International Limited. Zenicarex is a courier and logistics service provider company. We started the journey over 2 decades ago, and in the year 2002, November 1st to be precise, we incorporated our company with Corporate Affairs Commission, authorized to register companies in Nigeria. And ever since then, we have diversified from courier, mails, parcels, to becoming a reputable clearing and freight forwarding company. And also, we are into haulage and transportation, warehousing and distribution. So over the year, we have been able to diversify into core logistics service provider in Nigeria with over 70 branches nationwide and over 400 working force. Yeah, over the 2 decades that we have run this company, we have received several awards from far and near, from corporate organizations, from NGOs. Our vision is to be first position in ranking, when it comes to logistics service provider in Nigeria. Our vision is to be number 1 in Nigeria and second best in the world.
The knowledgeable professionals of Zenicarex provide timely and reliable management of your shipment from arrival, return of empty containers, and to the final destination. We offer cargo, courier, and parcel services. Some of our products and services include haulage and transportation, e-commerce, clearing, global freight, warehousing, and distribution.
So Zenicarex Express. Then finally, our final sponsors are White Cleone. Permit me, Mr. President, to introduce the CEO of White Cleone, a member of the Programs Committee, Mrs. Niriti Adebayo. Stand up for recognition, please. So may we have their video.
This is White Cleone. White Cleone Limited, a pioneering force in human resource management with a rich array of services designed to streamline operations and maximize efficiency, stands as a beacon of excellence in HR management. At White Cleone, their peace of mind enabling array of services cater to every aspect of human resource management, including employee outsourcing, recruitment and executive selection, background verification, HR administration, business process outsourcing, assessment solutions, and payroll management. Employee engagement activities like Fantastic Weekend, town hall meetings, staff training, entrepreneur training and support.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. President, Chairman of the Council. All protocols duly observed. I'll just here to talk us through the new NGO initiative we have at the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce. And for us here, we're not just empowering existing businesses. We want to help businesses from the grassroots, set up their own business, empower them to set up businesses and start to grow. So here at the Chamber, we have the NBCC Women and Youth Entrepreneurship Development Center. And for this center, what we want to do is want to promote entrepreneurship among the women, among the youth, in basic skills. And some of these skills we have technical skills, the Tech Academy, the Creative Academy, where we're training them how to set up businesses across businesses in confectionaries, art and craft, videography, photography, you know, basic things that can help them to start earning and build something for themselves. And we have a long-term goal. And for our long-term goal, we want to set up a center here in Lekki with 25 acres of land where we want to set up a 3,000 capacity center where we train these people across these skills that we've identified. And for us here at the Chamber, our objectives, number one, is empowerment. We have economic growth, we have gender equality, and also community development. And what this program is, we're not just going to train them in this program, we want to also help them to, you know, have access to capital, have the training they need, build the business development workshop, and help them just grow these businesses, you know, from the grassroots. And also on that, we have, over the course of the weeks, we are not starting out with the center, we are running this program cohort by cohort. And alongside when we're able to get the center up and running, each is in the long run, the big one. We have set up centers here in the hub where we want to train these people, and we have over 1,000 people who have applied to this center. And one thing I already mentioned that is from the grassroots, people on the grassroots. And these 1,000 people, what we're doing for them, we're training them across these skills. We're providing them what they need in technical skills, confectionaries, carpentry, shoemaking, videography, and we have over 1,000 people who have applied. And what we want to do for them is train them in these skills, provide them with mentors, provide them with the resources they need, and help them up and running. And so far, one thing we have the challenge is people making payments. The training is entirely for free. And the challenge we have is on the payment side, where we have people who are yet to make the basic payment on the application fee. And how we want to drive this center is we're calling on sponsorship, we're calling on collaborations for these people who have applied to run this training cohort by cohort. And I have the members of my team who are going to go around. We have this proposal document who just talks about what we want to achieve. But our long-term goal is ensure that the first cohort of this training kicks off and we have people who are in this training and can give their testimonials and they start their business running. So the training fee for these people in this training is basic application fee, which is 20,000 naira. Here at NBC, we are going to provide all of the resources they need in partnership and in support with each and every one of us in this room. And we'll crave your indulgence if you want to sponsor any of the students, 10, 15, 20, 30. We have over 1,000 who have signed up. They've been engaging with us. They've been speaking with us, but they just can't afford this basic fee of 20,000 naira to apply to the training. I want to ensure that no one is left out. So I have my team going around. I think they're already passing that. If you want a copy of this proposal document, which is just talks everything about the center, or you also want to sponsor a minimum of 20,000 naira for each of these students, please just indicate in the form that we've shared, and we'll follow up with you. Also, you can also make your referrals. If you have people who you think who should be in this program, please also get them, fill the form, and then we'll follow up in due course. Thank you so much.
At media, do we have the video for the NGO, the 2-minute video to play?
Welcome to the NBCC Women and Youth Entrepreneurship Development Center, where we are committed to empowering women and youth from Commonwealth countries through vocational and technical training. Our focus is clear, targeting individuals aged 18 to 40, both male and female. We provide residential practical training designed to empower and create self-dependence. Our goal is to transfer ideas and facilitate the creation of businesses, making a lasting impact on the communities we serve. Our objectives include empowerment, economic growth, advancement of gender equality, and community development. The NBCC provides several benefits, including economic stability, skill development, advancement in gender equality, and fostering innovation and creativity. Our basic programs include entrepreneurship training, business development workshops, and mentorship programs. Our advanced programs include incubation services, access to capital, international collaborations, and monitoring and evaluation. Explore a diverse range of skills: hairdressing, carpentry, welding, computer repairs, dressmaking, driving, arts and crafts, and so much more. Each cohort undergoes an intensive 3 to 6 month full-time residential training, emphasizing practical skills that are crucial for success in today's competitive landscape. Operations are set to commence at our Lekki, Lagos headquarters in April 2024, and we urgently need funds to equip our training rooms and workshops. But we can't do it alone. Your support, whether in cash or in kind, will make this vision a reality. Major donors will be honored with named buildings. Our retreat center will be open to major donors without charge, and we plan to build a monument to honor all those who contribute to our cause. Join us in making a difference. Your support will not just build a center, it will build futures. Together, let's empower the women and youth of the Commonwealth for a brighter tomorrow. Thank you for being part of this transformative journey.
Dr. Laoli Cole and Mr. President Realtily, I'm sure you are just nodding your heads thinking that voiceover was done by a female. What you almost see is the voiceover done by a male. My name is Tulilope Ogunjobi. Could you see what we're doing here? I mean, so that alone should be an avenue for us to key into this project. The serial, very soft, very focused, tender voices that did the voiceover. Mr. Oyemi, why are you laughing? Should be the fillip for us to get this done as soon as possible. It was deliberate. We were very gender sensitive at the chamber. Okay, so we have almost the penultimate event, the Q&A session, where all those hard-hitting questions you've been meaning to ask Mr. Oyemi, you can throw them at him. No holds barred, no type of question you can ask, except family-related questions. Every other question you can ask. Mr. Ogunjobi, could you just return to your seat? And our guest speaker, Mr. Olufemi Awuyemi, for a 40-minute Q&A session. We have a roving mic. If you can do 30 minutes, I could see some winking by members of council and Mr. President. We'll do a 30-minute Q&A session. Mr. President, 30 minutes on our honor, and we'll get that done. Mr. Oyemi, could you return to your seat? May we appreciate our guest speaker once more, Mr. Ogunjobi.
So the floor is opened, please. Questions? Am I supposed to sit? Okay. Is there a roving mic? Oh, okay. So you can raise up your hand and introduce yourself, organization you represent, and go ahead with your questions. The floor is opened. And those online too, you can ask questions. How do we get, okay, all right. So the floor is opened.
There are no questions.
Oh, there are no questions?
Yeah, very clear.
I guess the presentation was clear. Yes. No questions at all? Comments?
No, there has to be questions. This is unprecedented and it won't happen now.
Yes, please. Questions or comments? Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for your very, very insightful presentation. My name is Awuneba Ajamugovia. My question is, if there were two things that you would say to your younger self, what would those two things be?
The power of a woman. Actually, my answer rests within that one. if I would say to my younger self, it would be more that I should have prioritized relationships more. I perhaps did not do too good a job in that regard. The second thing I would say to myself is that I should have just, I should have stayed longer in one or two employments I had, because the learning would have been complete then. I cut short my learning in a particular one, and somewhere down the line, it hurts me. I should have stayed a bit more. Perhaps the third one is that I should have partied less. I mean, my guys in the office see me now, they call me a nerd. No, me, I was partying Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was just partying. You know, then you didn't have too much care. I wasn't thinking about too many things. Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but I wish I'd done less of that. Because it began to show when I needed to have ethics. If not for some life-changing events, I know some of my friends who never changed, and it's hurting them as you get older. And people think you have forever. You don't. If you've ever been, I pray it doesn't happen to any of you, but if you've ever had to sit down one day and you know that you can walk, life changes. The meaning of friends change. The meaning of family changes. The meaning of purpose change. And so we take so many things for granted. I have been in that position, been involved in a position whereby I had partial paraplegia. I was basically in orthopedic. And my father had gone to buy a wheelchair for me because they couldn't put my back together. And that's a very humbling moment. Because you see, you basically, and you sit down around, they bring people to the hospital and they drop dead. 2 days after, they're dead. 3 days after. And then you understand there's really nothing special about you except that you are under grace. You understand? I think people should learn to be a little bit more humble. It helps. It helps. I know for the younger ones, you're in a society whereby it's ultra competitive. People see this person drive this car, you know. It's good to be aspirational, to be ambitious, but just humble yourself, you know, because this race is not to the swift, not to the fast. Everybody will catch cruise at this right time. You understand? So for me, those are the lessons I learned. Again, like I said to you, I don't worry about business. Businesses can fail or succeed, you know. It's about the person, the human being. Am I a better person today than I was yesterday? Those are the things I worry about. And I'm still a work in progress. I'm still a work in progress.
Okay.
Because I like to fight.
Okay, I have a question for you here. So let me read this. Please, I'd like to ask about your negotiation skills. Would you like to share some books you read or training you took, sir? It's from Olusegun Ayo. Sweet cap. Did I get this? Capping concrete works. Did I get that?
Where's the guy?
Sweet cap.
Who asked
It's Olusegun Ayo. Where are you? Okay, that's it.
Excellent. Well, there are so many good books. Let me start with that one. That's the easiest one. So I buy a lot of books. I read a lot of books. With AI now, it's easier for me. I buy those books just out of sentimental value. There are two reasons I buy the books. Sometimes it's to decorate the library so that when my guests come over, they know that I'm more current. Some of them I haven't opened them, but I make sure I put them there so that you can see. I say, I have it. Oh, this, I have it. But I do read. I have to read by my nature of my work. And so, which book should I recommend? I think the best book I can tell you to read is read the Bible. Every other thing will be added onto you. I am not a religious person. Everybody walks around me, but my greatest strength is I find wisdom in the Bible. I don't normally talk about it, but I find strength in that. After the Bible, God will show you what to read. The books I read are not... there are two types of books I read. I read books that, for example, remember that book, Don't Give a Fuck? I read very unique people. I'm not a conventional person, so I look for books that are not conventional, that challenge wisdom. But most importantly, I look for books that would be able to tell you. For example, I will read any Tom Peters book. I like the book, Woman is the New Majority, which tells you fundamentally that every business in this world is focused on targeting one sex, the female, because that's the whole decision-making apparatus. Go and check it. Most successful businesses are selling something where females are the one consuming or buying or making decisions on. And that just opened my eyes because we didn't even have any focus like that exactly. But you asked me about my negotiating skills. I think they're very poor. That's the answer. They're very poor. But they're very straightforward. Before we go into anything there, everything in life requires negotiation. And if any of you, if you're a parent, you understand what I'm talking about. The most interesting negotiation you do daily is with your children. Yes. Especially if you like them and they know your mumu boti, it becomes a difficult negotiation for you. But on a more serious note, here's the thing I know about negotiation. So if it's, people say you should strive for a win-win. That's the most difficult thing to strive for. I just want that business. So if I have to take a lower thing to be in that space, I'm going to do it. If the business was, say, maybe 50 million and you are offering me 20 million, I think we are smart enough in our system not to understand that you will find a way to pay that 30 million someday. So we're going to take that 20 today. But we'll make sure we'll collect that 30 million from you back. But there's really no... I don't know how to say it to people. You see, we sometimes make this thing look too serious than it is. So you running a business, the man says, I can pay you 20. You say, no, I can't take it because... No, take it to collect that one, but make sure the person will constantly make you a repeat. And then you get your value somewhere down the line. It's not so easy, especially in a society where most of the businesses we do are not around those formal structures. You understand? Most of our businesses are, for the lack of a better word, discretionary. And so people don't employ. But I will tell you honestly, in Nigeria, like I told you, there are incredibly smart people in this system. You have to study that particular person you are going to negotiate with. It's not he or she. I don't underrate anybody. That's all I'll just say. Think highly of them and prepare. The chances are that you will meet yourself somewhere down the line. That's how it works.
So let's have more questions.
That's all.
More questions?
That's all.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Yvonne Balogun. I work with the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. Thank you very much, Mr. Oniro, for the lessons on grit. My apologies. I do not understand how I just said that. My apologies, Mr. Awoyemi, for the lessons. Thank you for the lessons on grit, for the lessons on wisdom and communications, for the lessons in consistency as well. So I just do have two questions, and maybe I'm asking for two additional lessons, if you do not mind, Mr. Oyemi. So the first one is, to you, what would you say would be the singular most important quality of a leader in today's business world? And the second one is on networking. I know you spoke a lot about getting into networks and the importance thereof. But for me, I mean, networking can be a bit overwhelming, especially for those who are introverts. And it's such a buzzword now. Everybody's networking on LinkedIn, networking here and there. So what would be your number one tip for getting access into networks that one needs to be in as a young professional in Nigeria? Thank you.
So if I get the questions right, very straightforward answers. You say, what is the most important skill for quality for a leader. Be the example of what you talk about. So we don't have to read it, we just see it in you. Good, bad, and ugly. You exemplify it, that's all. And so they see you also fail, they see you succeed, they see you learn, they see you, and so the lessons is self-taught. The second one you said about networking, that how do you get into it, right? I don't know, I'm still trying to get into some places, they won't allow me. But the honest answer is this: value opens the door for everyone. So what do you bring to the table? If there's nothing you bring to the table, you can access. If you have something, we will invite you because we need that. So maybe this does not accept you, that one accepts you, but if you're strategic enough, you said you're an accountant, right?
No, I just work for the association.
Okay, so I always like using real examples so that we don't because everybody's experience is different. If you're in a professional field, you need something. If you're in a street hustle kind of thing, it's a different thing entirely. Because I had a friend, my friend Master Dollars, used to make clothes. And every time, my wife never understood why he was always going to party. And he was always dressing well. And I said, that's his marketing approach. Now, if I were to follow him to that party, I must have my purpose. You know why I followed him? So maybe people didn't pay too much attention. If you look at all these musicians, the highest number of money that Nigeria gets in is coming actually from the creative industry and the music industry, the Nollywood, the whatever. So I make a conscious effort to strategically know a few of them. And the reason why I need to know them is that is a major sector that they do not yet have financial advisory services structured for. Some of them are going to go broke. They can flash the money, but they will lose it. So the guys who are already there, who are making money, are, guess what, copyright lawyers. The legal field, they're already in the entertainment industry because they are structuring transactions and deals for them. But the financial people are still doing basic things for them, nothing like trust, wills, financial advisory, helping you put your money somewhere and the other. For example, people like Nwako Kanu lost money to a financial person, bought asset, lost money. A number of people lost money. Okocha lost money. In the music industry, you see it. And I see it because I'm close to people in Jebu. So I'm with Wasiu, I'm with Shino, I'm with Flavor. Money has no, I don't care whether it's Fuji you're singing. As long as there's money, it's okay. I can see the money clearly, I can see the value, I can see the first. Second thing you don't understand about those people have a large followership. And so they are basically, the original influencers were those guys. So depending on which access do you want and why do you want to go through it. And so, for example, when we were challenging a business, I went to some guys who were running a road transport. He had about 20 of them. So I was sitting down, resuming at Surulere Bridge with him to see how they ran that business. I've never seen such efficiency in my life before. They knew who, how, what, when. You don't get it. You think everything is in the classroom. Hell, it's not, my dear. So I hope I've answered your question.
More questions, please.
So that we'll wrap up.
Okay. Yeah. It's getting interesting.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Femi, for that insightful and honest discussion. So my question is, I think I have like 3 questions. So what was that defining moment for you before you started that you knew, okay, this is the point that I need to start ProShare, like I now need to start my own, or I need to come up with my own organization? That's the first one. And the second will be, you sit on like different boards, you do a lot of things. How have you been able to like strike a balance? And like how have you been able to also like manage your time and strike a balance? And the third will be, as a leader, you're faced with like different things. What is that like most challenging thing that, in your years of leadership and experience, what is that like the most challenging thing, and how have you been able to like go around that challenge? Thank you.
Since I'm not in an interview where I have to manufacture a reply, let me just say it as it is. Every day of my life is a challenge. See, what you describe as challenge is an episodic event. But if you understand the meaning of challenge, is that you wake up, you went to bed on Tuesday, CBN changes lending ratio. It may not affect you directly, but it's going to affect businesses related to businesses related to, or CV industry capitalization. There are things that are happening which are not directly to you, but would affect those whom you serve. It then bothers you. So there are so many challenges, so many hurdles to climb. So I don't look at challenge as an episodic event. I look at it as a continuum. And so I try every day to say, what are those I can control? What are those I can't control? Which may mean that which client can we not serve tomorrow? Because we don't have the competence pursuing everything. So you can't win it all. What was the first one? You said? Defining moments. I've just told you is that you run into an accident and everything changes. You know, have you ever had a problem and you just suddenly feel as if you want to sleep? Have you ever been in a problem that you just suddenly feel like sleeping? You know, you are so strong, but all of a sudden the problem comes and you just be sleepy. Pray not to be in that position too often. But some of us have built a mental tolerance to absorb it. So in terms of defining moments for me, it's more or less like people say, what is it when I knew I'm going to do this business? And I don't understand it. And it's just my own way of looking at things. You have to be doing those things before you scale it. You don't just wake up and say, I'm going to do this. Have you ever paid attention to how a sportsman goes through his routine? He's doing it from a kid. He didn't just pick it up. He then scales it. You've had to have the gift of selling, and you must be selling something. You then move from your house into a shop. So people say, give me money, I want to set up a shop. I have this idea. I'm sorry, that's gambling, right? So there's something you are doing, then suddenly either somebody shows you a moment, and you just strike it, and then you move forward from it. So it has to be like, let me use Tajudeen for an example right now. So he's been in the strategy field. And if you see what he's doing, and I pay attention to him, I see his role here. I see how he plays within the space. Now, there's nobody within the professional service space that does not understand who he is. He has managed these events for us here, so he has huge database. Pay attention. He has managed other events. He has network. He has whatever. So if tomorrow, if he sets up a business, what do you think we are paying for? That Tajudeen that we know and has been offering things at a particular level, it's not the name of the company that you are patronizing. The name would be built over another time, but he has already built the major thing. So if you say, when did he know? He has to know. He will know when he knows his cash. When somebody calls him and gives him 2 or 3 offers, he then understands that I have to put a structure to it and then I move forward. For some, it's a different thing. For everyone, let me end by saying something. The process is to understand from the 0 point when you just started, and that's it, you can afford to fail. You understand? You can afford to fail because it's a trial run. But once you stay longer for a bit while, but you are still surviving in a survival mode, you haven't moved to the next level, you have to learn how to build adaptivity. What that means is that you must be able to understand that things change and things are dynamic. Second thing, you must be financially prudent. You see, most of the people spend so much top-heavy. Have you paid attention to see people who say that I have one business idea and they rent a place and then they spend so much money to help the landlord improve his property? You know that's foolishness 101, right? Because you will leave, another person will come there. And so the man doesn't finish building the house. Other people will come and finish it for him as he goes on. So financially prudent people are able to make decisions to say, and I was sharing with my colleague there, is that when ProShare started, it was a very simple decision for us. So most of my colleagues at that time all had offices on the island. So what I said was that we couldn't afford to pay 10 million for a property on the island, but we could pay like, say, 2 million for one on the mainland. And somebody said, no, we need to be where our customers are. So I said, no, we'll stay on the mainland. The goal of this organization is to make sure that people don't have to know where our offices are. We will go to them. And we will also be online. My location is not the place of business. It is the place of operation. The place of business as well. So being financially prudent is important. 3, and I think this one is the difficult one. Being able to understand that products and services keep on changing because customers change and their moods change and whatever change, their realities change. Having to adjust what you do is there. It's like the way we consume TV. The way we interact with you on TV now, it's not the same way as it is. What you have is no longer news now. You have what you call opinion shows, almost like drama. So people switch off, have their own thing. So the difficult one is that one about products and customers' adaptability. Very, very difficult. 4th is also learning how to put collaborations and partnerships around yourselves. You cannot carry the load all by yourself. You would have to put structures around yourself. And that can be tricky. Nigeria hasn't had good experiences where partnerships have not led to people crying. And so you would have to put structures around yourself, NDAs, all those agreements and whatever, so that you can make it work. I think perhaps the 5th one is to understand that in any business we're in, we have passed the age of digitization because we are actually going to the age of predictive analysis, which is artificial intelligence. And as what every organization must pay attention to is digital transition. If you can manage all those things, you stand a fair chance of being in a good place to survive. Or perhaps the last thing, because I mentioned 6. How you relate or how you address the issue of the employees is going to be a major deciding factor. Because right now you have a bunch of people who are incredibly smart, but their work ethics is not the same. The models that build those work ethics are not the same with the work ethics of a younger generation. So we have a society where we are struggling to change these young men to fit into those work ethics, and there's resistance, and as such, the organizations who have the money are not able to adapt to you, and something is going to have to give somewhere on the line. We tried a few experiments, it didn't work. I've actually had to let toxic people go in the system, which is another thing your organizations would do more of right now. If you have an element of toxicity, you'll be gone before the morning wakes up. So there's a very, like I told you, the difference between those who run businesses or those who are just selling to make money is that these are the kind of issues you have to worry about. And if you are in an industry where you are subjected to regulation, you got to find ways to make the regulator your friend. So you shouldn't be acted upon, and you should be able to be in a position to influence them. So sometimes I actually do it. Well, I shouldn't say so much, but I actually do it by making sure that we offer all regulators opportunity to use us so that we have access to them. And it's prudent for you to do so. If anybody is regulating you, and you know, when you use regulators, don't think of all the big regulators. Just think of the area boy beside you. He's also a regulator in that street. If you don't understand it that way, then you miss the point. That area guys who move around you, Your CDA, oh, those are regulators because there is a code to operating in certain areas. And so if you know how to just navigate your way, you are in a better position. I think this is almost sounding more like our office retreat. So thank you. Let's end it here.
Please, another round of applause for Mr. Olufemi Awoyemi. I think we're good. Thank you.
Please, may you have your seat, our guest speaker and moderator. Let's give them another ovation for a very, very insightful Q&A session. So, we're about at the terminal end of a well-spent period. I have the singular honor to invite Mr. President and Chairman of Council, Mr. Ray Artile, FRPA, to come and do the honors to our guest speaker and the moderator. Mr. President, yes, the plaque presentation. Before the photo ops, then we do the vote of thanks by Mrs. Niriti Adebayo. Mr. President, first, Mr. Oyemi, the honors by Mr. President to appreciate you. Mr. President. Photography.
Now you did. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oyemi, MNI. May we appreciate him once more. We're still going to call you back for photo ops. Thank you, Mr. Oyemi. Take your seat. You will still invite you for photo ops. Mr. Ogunjobi, Tolu Ogunjobi, business editor, TVC, our excellent moderator. Tolu brought that verve, you know, that we always saw on TVC communications to him.
But very interesting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you again.
Thanks for the opportunity again.
Well, we appreciate Mr. Ogunjobi, please. Thank you. Mr. Oyemi, could you join the moderator for people to have the order of photographs here, and I'm going to follow that very, very strictly. So after this, past President Dr. Olawale Cole, please join us. As it is, Mr. President, just stay a bit. You know, when I hold the microphone, I always direct things. I'm so sorry. That's the only opportunity I have to direct my boss at the chamber. And I use it maximally. So, our patron, Dr. Olawale Cole. To join them next, members of council, Mrs. Awuneba, Mrs. Koliosho, all other members of council should join them. Council members. Then ESCO members should join as well. Ms. Banker Mishida, Ms. Lara Kayode. I'm lucky to be amongst 3 women, imagine. Council members and ESCO members go take their seat. Mr. President, the Speaker, please wait. Members of the Programs Committee, Ms. Niriti Adebayo with Mr. President. Mr. Oyemi, please come back. Ms. Ogunjobi, please come back too. Programs Committee members, Ms. Koliosho, Mrs. Adebayo, Ms. Damilola Olabi. I can't forget you. Members of HQ, DG, please lead your staff here to take pictures with Mr. President, the guest speaker, and the moderator. DG, Shagun, Damilola, everybody. There's no hierarchy in this picture. DG, just let your flock follow you as a shepherd. All members of HQ. ESCO members who feel young at heart, who wants to be staff of HQ can join at their discretion. Ms. Cowdy, what's the issue? Ms. Bankemichi, why are you laughing? I respectfully want to ask past President Olawale Cole to do us the honor. Our staff at HQ will be very honored to have you in the picture. May we give our Papa a round of applause, please. So at the chamber, these are the individuals that make things happen. We are members of committees, we're chairmen of committees, we're ESCO members and council, but they do the daily grind under the leadership of Dr. Ebere Onjoku. May we appreciate them, please. And finally, my job is almost been done. Mr. President, please take your seat. Honorably, thank you so much for the honor. I'll invite Mrs. Nireti Adebayo, member of the Programs Committee, to, on behalf of Mrs. Adenike Ebiroba, give us the vote of thanks. Then we end.
Thank you, my chairman. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to just quickly give the vote of thanks. Before I do, I'd just like to highlight a few things I learned from Mr. Oyemi today. I think I've become one of your students. He says we have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's very profound. And then he says it's not what you do, it's who you are. It's not about the news, but understand what is happening. And then it says we are not in a hurry to become billionaires overnight. I learned that. It says the tendency is to develop a cliche or connections for yourself. It's about knowledge and who has the most knowledge. So learn how to shut your mouth. I love that. And it said business built around credibility are likely to fail, and I agree to that. It says the CEO is the biggest problem for the organization. I must build fundamental grit to protect the company. Thank you for that, sir. And he says, if we feel inclined to be in a sector or business, we should take it or defray or delay gratification. Thank you for that. I love that. And then he says, make the regulators your friend, be cordial with your regulators, and be prudent. Thank you. Great lesson, sir. Thank you so much. You're such a bank of knowledge. On that note, I'd like to give the vote of thanks. On behalf of the chamber, we'd like to thank you again, Mr. Olufemi Awoyemi. Thank you so much. And of course, our very brilliant moderator, Mr. Tolulope Ogunjobi. Thank you for honoring us. We would like to extend our appreciation to our patrons, the council, and members of the ESCO. Thank you so much for your support all the time. And to our sponsors, we really appreciate you. Thank you. ProShare Group, thank you very much. Please give a big round of applause, please. This is important. They've supported us. And Prime Atlantic Group, please clap, clap, clap. Let's encourage them. Clap, because we'll still need them another time. Zenith Carex International, International Breweries, a big round of applause. And of course, the White Cleon Group. Thank you. And then we would like to really thank the Programs Committee. Thank you so much. And I'd like to thank our chairman, the indefatigable, collaborative leader, Tajuddin Ahmed. A big round of applause, please. Thank you so much. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you. You represent us well, and we appreciate you. Thank you. And of course, NBCC headquarters, all the staff, thank you for your support all the time. We really appreciate you. Thank you. And of course, our esteemed and distinguished guests, thank you. Without you, we would not be here. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Please clap for yourselves. Please clap for yourselves. Very quickly, I would just like to announce the upcoming events. The NBCC Advocacy Roundtable is scheduled for Wednesday, April 24th, and it is open to both members and non-members. Please note that. It's open to both members and non-members. Also, the Women and Youth Entrepreneurship Development Initiative launch is scheduled for Wednesday, May 10th, 2024. And this is really important. So I would like to implore all women to please invite your friends and attend. Women and Youth Entrepreneurship Development Initiative, Wednesday, May 10th, 2024, by 10 a.m. And classes commence on Tuesday. Please note it. Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024, by 9 a.m. at the NBCC Plaza here. And 2024 trade mission to the UK, London, is scheduled for Monday, June 24th to Friday, June 28th, 2024. Kindly reach out to the trade desk for more information. And the plaza is open with state-of-the-art facilities. I'm sure you can all attest to that. And so we implore you to please come in here for your corporate events, training, seminars, meetings at all affordable rates. And you can reach out to the chamber headquarters members to make inquiries and reservations. If you are interested in becoming a member of the chamber, I would, if you are not a member, please join us. It's really important. Please visit our website at www.nbcc.org.ng or meet with the membership team at the registration desk outside. Finally, please follow us on social media to be informed about all the activities we have here at NBCC_NG on Instagram, at Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce on LinkedIn, and same Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce on Facebook. On that note, I say thank you to you all. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, my ever very expressive Ms. Nireti Adebayo, member of the Programs Committee. Thank you for that very, very lovely vote of thanks. She had to add her own Maggi and Ajinomoto on it, which was very good, you know. Thank you so very much. So it's ended. I think we have our lunch packs. Mr. President and Mr. Oyemi, you have media runs with Arise TV and TVC Communications, just 2-minute interviews that will be used in the news channels of those two major media organizations. Mr. President, thank you for being our leader at all times, both in the rainfall and sunshine. I want to thank Dr. Lawali Cole, our papa, who says he's a young person, young at heart, for supporting us. Members of council, Mrs. Awoniba, Mrs. Colley Osho, other council members here present. It's been a wonderful 2 hours, 5 minutes spent, and certainly we know that in the next program we're going to have, we'll have much more significant and expressive participation. Certainly, it was time well spent. Have a good afternoon. Thank you, everyone.